I think it was we were looking for some new, interesting things to do in the community, and last summer the executive staff said, come up with some ideas that we can give to our Congress people and tell them things that we want to do. And this happened to be one of the things. The other one was not quite as sexy. It was a water efficiency grant that we got. But, you know, same thing. We wanted to do something where we could get a little money from the federal government to show that as a public utility we really have an interest in the community. So we threw those letters out there and they took traction, and Mark Schauer actually supported our bill, our earmark, and then Debbie Stabenow and Carl Levin supported it, and it got combined and came out of committee, and next thing we knew, and the bill was passed and we had the money. The electric vehicle program here at the board stemmed out of an appropriation we received from the federal government last October, just like a grant basically. So we have $750,000, which is a 50% community match, so it's a $1.5 million program to deploy 25 vehicles into the community and 50 charging stations. And we are doing that with incentives. So we have 10 vehicles for community partners, which are Delta Township, MSU, City of East Lansing, the Board of Water and Light, and Lansing Community College, who've all agreed to buy 2 vehicles. And we're going to install the infrastructure for free. And then we have a residential piece, because obviously we want to explore what happens with residents. And there were 15 vehicles available for that. We had just a couple questions. You need to live in the service territory, have an electric meter that the board has, and you have to work in our service territory or play if you're retired. That's the main qualification, and that you're planning on purchasing a vehicle in the next year, because most of the vehicles for the residential program will be here in August. That's really the short thing, and we're putting everybody on the early adopter list. We have a longer questionnaire in January that we'll be going through and vetting through people. Like, you know, do they have a valid driver's license? Can they get funding? Can they commit? Because this is a DOE funded program, so for 5 years they have to commit to giving us data. Really the point of that is to give information back to the DOE regarding how these vehicles affect the grid, how the installation works, you know, at the home, making that process very seamless, how the adoption's working, how they're charging. So we're going to be collecting a lot of that data to give back to the DOE. And we're working very closely with GM because we wanted to get vehicles, and they're going to be the first vehicle launched in Michigan. The vehicles that will be on the street that are in our program will have logos on the side so that people can stop and ask questions and say, hey, what's this all about? Obviously with the goal of kind of revitalizing Michigan's economy. We have the battery manufacturing here, we have cars being manufactured here. If people are driving them and we're selling them in Michigan, that just encourages more growth and awareness. And obviously, you know, driving an electric vehicle and getting off using foreign oil is huge. People always say, oh, well, you're still creating electricity with coal. Well, we are. But obviously we're going to have a new gas plant pretty soon, which is much more efficient and less, you know, there's less emissions. And we're also having a mix with our renewable portfolio. You know, across the state, everybody's doing renewable. So if you look at, in the United States, if you look at the fuel mix, about 98% of all of the energy that's created for electricity in this country is native fuel, whether it be coal, wind, hydro, solar, you know, gas, but it's here. It's not foreign oil. So really, the more people drive electric vehicles, the less dependent as a country we become on foreign oil. The cars have a lot less maintenance. You know, the Volt, you only change the oil every 2 years. You know, and it's potential if you're a good commuter. Most 80% of Americans drive less than 40 miles a day in their daily commute. So it's me especially, I know I don't drive 40 miles a day. I could literally go months until I'd have to drive to Grand Rapids without using gasoline in that vehicle. There's a number of ways to charge them built right into the car. The Volt has 3 steps. You can plug and play, in other words, plug it in and tell it to charge right now. You can do a delay start, so you plug it in when I get home from work and tell it don't start until 11, so I could take advantage of a time of use rate potentially, which is you pay less at night when you charge, more during the day if you charge. And then the third is actually a programmable time of use rate. The GM vehicle allows you to pull in a utility's time of use rate that says, if you charge between this time and this time, it's going to cost you more, and between this time and this time, so it's going to cycle you into charging when it costs less. You know, this is the first time you're asking somebody to marry their car with their place of where they live, and those things have to, you know, if you think about it, in the past you just worried, where do I park it? now you got to worry about, well, when I park it, where's the charging station going to be? And those are all questions you have to ask yourself. How long am I going to be here? If I pay for infrastructure for my home and I sell it in 3 years, those are questions you have to ask. So part of the project and part of the state task force is to really just kind of make those experiences feel better, so that inspection goes cleanly, installation goes cleanly, things can be as low cost as possible, so that people will adopt this technology, which right now is expensive. It is still an expensive technology. I think in 10 years they're going to be very similar to gas cars as far as pricing.